that uncertain period was pretty much over of the 10th grade and all that before me. And things as far as the economics of the household, if it hadn't been for Elvin and Robert, we'd have been in real bad shape because Robert began to send half his paycheck home. But I never will forget why he went in. He said, I'm usually glad when I can get in the army where I can have another pair of shoes, pair of shoes. And it was that bad, but we were still enjoying our hog hunting and deer hunting. We were still making money. As we had this old yellow cab, we called it. Didn't have a cab on it. We called it a yellow cab before the taxi companies. But it was a long body thing. Let me tell you, it was in a school bus. It would have, and just a driver's seat and the windshield. And we had this Jeep too. We used it a lot too. But we had access to any kind of vehicle. We wanted dump trucks and this sort of stuff, to do things. And you didn't date in a dump truck. So, I didn't. But we'd have to take our turns as far as getting the truck to go date, and Robert, for some reason, he loved girls, but he wasn't really big into this social thing, not at that time in his life. He was interested in going in the army, and which he eventually did that year. So that was me, and of course, Robert went in the army in June, and I went to grandmother's and grandfather's in August, early September. And I was 15, about to turn 16 to get driver's license now, so I was going to, even though I drove like more than most people had, time to reach 30, So I went down, stayed with them, and you ever heard of Sadie Hawkins Day?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had this English teacher. Oh my God, I'm words, names. Anyhow, my English teacher, she had 2 sons and a daughter. And that daughter was a good looker, man. Let me tell you, she was in my class too. And of course, I had George's car, and of course, I had my restrictions, and of course, my grandparents, because neither one of them drove, so I would always take him to work. He was still back, doing cabinet maker pretty much, and he'd gotten out of the house building business and just doing cabinets and cut with a pocket knife, man. He could carve anything you wanted carved. Now, he wouldn't do anything at home as far as carpentry. Not at all. As a matter of fact, Kenneth is the one that did all that carpentry work around the house later on in life, But I had to laugh about this because everybody knows it now, except maybe 2 or 3. His grandfather, he liked to have his half pint every day after he get off work. So let's go down to the drugstore. He'd tell me, he'd have to show me around while he worked. He's a very proud carpenter and artist. And he'd show me his work that day and show what he's going to be doing. And I'd take him by the drugstore. And for some reason, he would, by the way, great influence over me. He'd take the guilt off me, doing that for him, He'd hand the bottle over to me first, and I'd stick it up my tongue and hold it, and he knew what I was doing. But he would get back home and he'd start talking. He would talk, and he'd tell me the same old stories over and over and then over and over again. But I enjoyed listening to it and knowing he's getting higher by the moment. Grandmother, he thought he was hiding his liquor from grandmother. He wasn't. And he's right out on the porch. But he was a good musician himself, an excellent musician. And they were very proud people. They took pride in everything they did, And of course, they had all these sons. He had 7 boys, and they were bad about calling on the telephone and just running the bills up, and he'd get upset with them. And but grandfather set out his task of teaching me, his values, And he'd at 4 o'clock came. He was up and starting breakfast or lunch and whatever he might be doing stuff. And would wake me up and tell me those stories about working on the railroad, playing music, Will Rogers, and so it was just quite an experience. And then they accidentally struck oil, and I was next door when this happened. They had lights up, the electric lights were on. They were supposed to cut off. This well came in by surprise, and the electricity was still on, and all the gases blew the thing up, and it was right next door. So, but grandmother had taken on these people. Granddad and Dennis worked around his house ready for boarders, upstairs. And I learned a lot from those folks and talking to them. And of course, I had some friends around school. The band now, Citronelli, it was not like this, but we had a deputy sheriff came in, took over the band director's job, just for that hour, So, but he got interested in hunting with me and Alan Butler, and of course, Billy Rainey and some other older guys grade ahead of me, in school. But they worked in Andrew's grocery store, and I worked at Greer's. Because grandfather, he knew the owner of the Greer stores. I mean, he'd known him. He used to go to Mobile by train. Well, he worked at Mobile in shipyard, because he worked at shipyard during war years. He'd catch a train down there and come back. And bring groceries up, but he knew Greer, and he told he would hire me. This weekends to get me out of trouble, I guess, about Friday and Saturday. And so I worked there, Starkville, as a bag boy at the Turk sometimes. But, this, by the way, they even went to college. I came back on work weekends I could, But I really enjoyed that, being there, and but this Dan, I forget her first name, but she had the Sadie Hawkins Day. She invited me to dance. Man, nobody ever danced. It wasn't good. Even had the guts to ask the girl to dance with, go out with, much less, because she was pretty, Anyhow, somehow I sniggled out, got out of it somehow. I didn't want to go out with her. She was too pretty. And anyhow, long about the time Carl came out, really out of the Army, the National Guard. He had basically, he had, I think, he'd finished 19 years, but he had on the service more time, get some more rank built up, some money built up. But anyhow, he came home and he got discharged and became the police chief. And of course, Carl was in his bed, in his own way, He was going to think of himself as a woman's man, a ladies' man. And so I was driving. George's car was a shop because I hit a truck, from behind, just waiting to pick up somebody. And I looked up and I was running on this guy's tail, hit him. And I was in Carl's car, and I was driving, and he got in and was chasing me. That's I must have been doing 80 to 90 miles an hour coming down the street, and this railroad track is lifted like that. You probably remember it, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Come down the street, it always goes up like that.
I do remember that.
Car, that thing, they moved about 80 miles an hour. Going knowing that dead well, it get dead ended right after the track. And anyhow, I took the oil pan out. Yeah, well, that siren on chase me. but he's crazy for doing that. But anyhow, our Carl was at a job, just not that long when one of his first duties was to kill a guy in a church. A black guy that tried to stab somebody, and he ran him right into the church, and he still had the Army intelligence, World War II and Korea. And of course, you ever heard outside of me maybe say anything about the guy that life was saved when he was on duty with the Bible in his left pocket?
Yeah.
That was Carl.
Yeah.
So, he's quite a hero around the nation, asshole, pardon me, by himself. But anyhow, he did realize he'd probably need to get back in service, so he went back in, had a heart attack first for six weeks in Germany, and so he gets him home, and then he was told to stay away from that molasses and biscuits. He loved them, and he did it anyhow, and it killed him on the spot at the table.